Peace to the YouTube community out there. It's your boy Ishmael Allah coming at you again. Just wanted to respond back. I had got an email sent to me. A sister had asked a question if I knew anything about white slavery. And I do, and I'll be happy to share the information with you. I'll give you a brief overview kind of about white slavery, what I do know about it. I took a couple notes, and I also wanted to share with you a couple of books. I got a nice library here at the crib. Two books that I would probably recommend for you to get for a good foundation of white slavery is They Were White and They Were Slaves. It's by Michael Hoffman. It's a decent book. As well as White Cargo. This is by two authors, Don Jordan and Michael Walsh. So again, White Cargo and They Were White and They Were Slaves. Two books. There are other books that are out there, but I'll share with you what I do know about it. White slavery has been in America. There have been white slaves in America for over 100 years. I'm talking about the hidden history of white people not knowing that they were slaves. This happened for over 100 years. There's a professor at Yale, David Bryan Davis is his name. And the quote that's coming from David Bryan Davis, October 11th, 1990, is that as early as the 14th to the 15th century, white slaves were shipped to multiple countries. It was labeled as like a booming slave trade during that time on the markets in the Black Sea coast, into Italy, Spain, Egypt, and the Mediterranean islands, as well as Barbados to Virginia. I'm going to focus right now particularly on, since we're dealing with America, the Barbados to Virginia connection. Again, that's the 14th to the 15th century of white slaves being used. Barbados during that time would literally beat their white slaves to death. I think you probably need a good synopsis or picture of exactly what was going on, where these slaves were coming from. I'm sure if you have any basic history about it, you would know that the slaves came from England. A good idea of kind of like the way to see what that life was like is to study Oliver Twist. That's a good movie for y'all to check out. It'll explain to you that the English slums of the 17th, the 18th, and the 19th century, they were considered the pits of white suffering. Maggots all in the trash. They were eating scraps. They were cold, wearing rags for clothing. Very, very poor condition. So definitely check that out. And also during Oliver Twist times, they would like have the children, and they would have them as chimney sweeps, and they were called human brooms, because they would go down, take a little 6-7-year-old kid, shoot them down there to clean out the chimneys and stuff. So they were doing the child labor stuff, but it was a very, 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 very poor country at that particular time. England historian William, I think it's William Inglis, he stated in 1836 that the starving agricultural laborers of southern England are worse off than the American Negroes. So again, that condition was very, very bad over in England. That was even in the 1800s that they were worse off than the American Negro. That was by an eyewitness. And America was considered England's dumping ground. England was later, they replaced America later on with Australia. That's the foundation of how Australia was found by the English. It was the dumping ground of their prisoners, of their underclass, of their totally unwanted. First it was America, then it was Australia. In one of my previous tapes, I stated that I had went to Sydney, Australia, and if you go to Sydney, Australia, it's definitely a place that you should try to go in your lifetime. There's an area in Australia called the Rock District, and if you go down to the Rock, right now it's like a bunch of like bars, and it's kind of a trendy area, but it's actually it was like a slaving post. It's where a lot of the white slaves that went to when they originally sent to Australia. Again, that's called the Rock District in Australia. So anyways, again, this book right here, this is a good book because it kind of gives it to you a little bit raw. Michael Hoffman, he's actually from this area. He's from like upstate New York. I guess it's outside of New York City, upstate New York, maybe central New York type of area. I'm going to try to track him down, see if I can get him on the phone. If y'all really want to do a follow-up with him, I can see if I can get him on the phone or something. Maybe we can build a little bit. But you got to be careful with this book right here because he's giving it to you raw, the way that it comes. But also, you got to be careful because he be throwing little darts in there. You know what I mean? He kind of, in order to boost up what white people was going through of slavery, he kind of using the expense of black people, kind of minimizing what we did as well. So it's kind of a give and take here. He's going to give it to you raw, so it's definitely a good book, but make sure you check it out. The reason why I want you to check out is, for instance, on page 41, he states that he's talking about Frederick Douglass and his quote about the 4th of July is yours, not mine. And in the way that he puts it, he got that little, you know what I mean, that little, you know, that, you know what I'm talking about, kind of got that bite to it, you know what I mean? So Frederick Douglass was a freedom fighter, you know what I mean, his whole life. So, you know what I mean, I don't appreciate somebody trying to minimize what Frederick Douglass was about. But also he states in here that a few blacks fought on the side of the Americans during the Revolution. That's a lie. It was actually quite a few blacks that fought on the side, including some Massachusetts Negroes known as the Bucks of America. That part is true. The claim has long been made that the first victim of the British and American Revolution was a black, Crispus Attucks. In fact, Attucks was an Indian. And he stops. Now see, Hoffman right there is taking a dart at what Crispus Attucks was all about, because Crispus Attucks was black. You dig? And what he's trying to do is, in order to boost themselves up and him explaining their white suffering, because they did suffer quite a bit, he's lowering what we did. Let me give you the facts about Crispus Attucks, and then we can go ahead and we can build on that. Now, Crispus Attucks, he was from, he was born, let me get this right. In 1723, Crispus Attucks was born in slavery in Framingham, Massachusetts. His father, Prince, was captured in Africa. So Crispus Attucks' father was captured in Africa. That means that he's black. So don't try that, man. You know what I mean? You coming sideways, and how you trying to come at us, you know what I mean? And like I said, you try to boost yourself up, but you trying to, you see where that's going, right? All right, so his father was black and captured in